Alright, what's going on, guys? I am bringing you my no, it's not US. I think it's NA regionals this year because there is non-United States teams there, I believe. I don't know. Anyways, I'm bringing you my regionals predictions video. I'll throw the bracket up on the screen for a second. You guys can look at it. I'll probably put a link in the description as well or something, and you guys can pull it up if you want to look at it while I'm speaking or whatever. But that's the bracket. I'm pretty sure they haven't changed it. They might. I think it got locked after a certain date, so it hasn't changed. Even though the pro points have changed after that, but they already locked it. So anyways, the way I've understood it is you only have to win your first 2 matches. As long as you win both of them, you're in. If you lose one of them, you're gonna have to go to losers and win an extra game or 2 in order to qualify. But it is top 16, I believe, that qualify. Although I did see somewhere that it was top 14, which is kind of a weird number, but I'm gonna go ahead and say top 16 because that just makes a lot more sense. So either way, most of these teams shouldn't really have any problem winning their first 2 matches. Because there's 32 teams, there's a lot less competition out there. So if you have a high seed, you're playing not that great of a team, and it makes it a lot easier for you to qualify. So let's get right into it. I'm going to just skip the entire first round. I don't really see any upsets happening, any major upsets happening from any of like the top 10 seeds. They should all win their first round match pretty easily, and I couldn't really see any of them losing. The second round, there is a few matchups to look at. Obviously, I think Optic's going to win theirs easily. TK does play SB in the second round. That could be interesting. I'm going to give it to TK. I don't think SB has quite enough of what it takes to beat them. Prof's going to play AR. I'm giving that to Prof. And then Envy should win easily. FaZe Red should win easily. Optic Nation's going to play Stunner, but it's not the same actual Stunner team. They had to make their adjustments for age limits for champs. So I'm going to give that one to Nation. Now, we have Denial's going to play probably Revenge. Denial should win that. And FaZe Black's going to play Rise. And I think FaZe Black should win that one as well. Now we get into the third round. This is where it starts to get a little interesting. We have Optic versus TK. Now at this point, the only time Optic ever really loses is when they're not warmed up, I guess you could say, you know. But once Optic gets momentum, that's when they're dominant. So at this point, they've already beat up 2 like kind of, I don't want to say bad, because I mean obviously they made it to regionals, but you know, not the best teams at this point. So they're already warmed up. Should already be on a roll, won 2 series, qualified, should be happy. I see them just, you know, running over TK at this point. Now, next, we're going to have Prof versus Envy. I think, now also, I should point in mind, I haven't really kept up with, you know, watching all these 2Ks and 5Ks and shit. I'm just trying to base this on LAN performance. I don't really give a fuck of who wins a 2K or a 5K. That means nothing. So, anyways, I think Envy has the roster to probably the 2nd or 3rd best roster on paper, you know, along with FaZe Red, Optic, and maybe Optic Nation. So I'm giving this to Envy. I think Prof, as good as they are, they don't have what it takes to be Envy. I really like this Envy roster. They got a lot of slang on there, so I think they should do pretty well. I think that's a top 4 team. So anyways, Envy, I got them over Prof, and now we're gonna have FaZe Red versus Optic Nation. This one, it's hard for me to pick. I would want Optic Nation to win this, but I mean, FaZe Red has such a talented roster on paper, but it just, I don't know if they're really gonna work out together like that. I'm gonna pick Optic Nation. I feel like Optic Nation's roster isn't as talented on paper, even though out of all the players in these 2 matchups, Karma's he's pretty much better than everyone that's going to be in that game. But I don't know. I'm going to give it to Nation, but that's really a toss-up, to be honest. So anyways, last match is going to be Denial versus FaZe Black. Now, FaZe Black does have Doug Sensor Martin, the best player in the game, so they should win, but at the same time, I think Denial's the better team, so I'm going to give it to Denial. Now, that takes us to quarterfinals. I think it's going to be quarterfinals. Well, 4th round, whatever. You know, when you add in losers, it changes up whatever the names. So it's going to be Optic versus Envy. I think Optic's going to win. I think you guys can all, I mean, who the fuck isn't going to predict Optic to win at this point? Now, the other side is a little more interesting, I guess. We're going to have Optic Nation versus Denial. That bottom side of the bracket somehow ended up being like weaker. That's kind of weird. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I mean, it kind of did. I don't know. Well, maybe not, I guess. But Optic Nation versus Denial. I like Optic Nation in that one. I think that, you know, I think, honestly, the real matchup in the bottom side of that bracket is Optic Nation versus FaZe. And, you know, if they can beat them, I think, you know, they should be able to beat Denial easily. So, I'm going to give Optic Nation the win over that. I think if they can beat FaZe, then they're definitely going to beat Denial. And they're going to go to the finals and play Optic Game, well, winners finals. And then, obviously, someone's going to come out of losers. I think FaZe Red or Envy will come out of losers. Once they lose, they can come back and maybe make it back into finals. But, I mean, overall, I'm going to have to predict Optic Gaming to win. I mean, this is just, there's really, that's just the smartest prediction. Who I'd like to win, Optic Nation. Who I think will win, Optic Gaming. Teams that have the potential to win, Optic Gaming, Optic Nation, FaZe Red, or Envy. I think one of those 4 teams should win. If another team besides those 4 win, I'll be very surprised. But yeah, that is it for my US, well, I don't know if it's US, my regionals predictions video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like rating if you did, subscribe if you are not already. Follow me on Twitter, links in the description down below. Other than that, have a good day, and peace out.